Shardvixen here. Okay, so if my voice sounds weirder than normal, it's because my ears well, at least one is plugged. The other one I think is okay. I think the light's a little weird here, so I'm doing some weird shifting, I guess. I'm overly cold when it's not cold, but that happens with the fibromyalgia. And I can't really see where I'm looking, so I might be looking up to the sunset. I don't know. The face is all broken out. And Big Boy's here, so hang on. Okay, so this is What Does the Vixen Say? And this one was brought up in a Mixer chat. I can't really do a shout out. It's my jigger, my Tiger. I don't know. So it's Mitiger, I think is how she says her name. So check her out if you like art. She plays Minecraft, does a lot of stuff. Mixer is kind of the place that I want to be, though they don't do upload of videos, so I have to keep the YouTube channel so I can do the vlog, because I'm not ready yet to do live vlogs. When I get the webcam, I'll be doing live vlogs. So it's not that I'd get rid of the YouTube channel, I'll probably keep it, but it's not going anywhere. I mean, I'm not really getting any subs or anything or nothing like that. So these are all for you. Those of you who watch this. That's it. And for me. If I die, at least there'll be some bit of me still out there in the world. I'm sure there's bits of me anyway. Anyway, so bits of me floating in the world. My atoms will be atoms forever. Which is true because atoms stay atoms forever. They just rearrange themselves, reorganize themselves. Anyway, the question is, let's get to the question now. The question is, what would you do if you were the only person to survive some holocaustic world event? Which I think is an interesting question in itself. First of all, if you're the only one that survives, and there's no chance of you, moving on and creating other things, it kind of puts a big, dead end to your, that procreation thing that is drilled into our instinctiveness to go forth and make more. So that, I think, would cause a bit of depression, first of all, you'd have to deal with the fact that everybody's dead. And me, the kind of person I am, I would not assume that everyone is dead. So I think the very first thing I would do is, well, besides melting and having a nervous breakdown for the first couple days, months, weeks, whatever, it'd probably only be like a couple days. I would have like this huge disconnect and stop. But then I would probably want to do some type of, I would think that I would probably stay in my house for a little while until I could actually prove that there wasn't anybody in the neighborhood, and then I would have to venture out. If you had running water, though, for long periods of time, if your water continued to run and your electricity continued to work, then it's quite possible that you could stay in one place for a much longer period of time. So I probably would stay here for as long as I could until I had to venture out to find stuff to eat. I'm kind of like a prepper at heart, but I don't have any prepper stuff here anymore. I got rid of a lot of the stuff when I had to move. So I don't have any camping gear anymore because I don't camp because, well, I don't feel well. And I had to choose what to move when I moved from, when I became homeless. I had to get rid of a lot of stuff because it could only fit so much into a certain size storage unit. And then that was the size of a U-Haul I could afford. So I had to make sure I slimmed everything down. So I got rid of a lot of stuff. And then over time, my camping gear just kind of, got too old and broke or whatever. I mean, I had a tent up until about 2 years ago. So I think that I would make a list of the things that I needed to do. Because I'd have dogs and cats I still had to feed. which would be kind of the sad thing there, is that if you ventured out into the world, you'd have to leave behind your animals. I mean, I think the cats would follow me. They tend to follow me when I go to, like, the mail or something. But I don't think they venture very far from what they know. Excuse me for the yawn. The hug. Excuse me, that's how I hug, by yawning. That's too funny. I feel lopsided. This whole ear over here is being really weird. So, okay, so let's think about this. What would I do if I was... I think eventually I'd probably end up killing myself. Not maybe purposely, but definitely accidentally, because I'd be a dummy. Or I'd become so paranoid I'd starve to death or something. Though I would think that if you were the only person alive, what would it matter if you died at that point? I don't know. It's a very bizarre question, because it has a whole lot of other stuff involved, not just, surviving. It's not just about staying alive and surviving. It has a whole emotional issue too. If you were a loner to begin with, I don't think that would be as big of an issue, because you wouldn't have, very few connections to the outside world. But if you have children like I do, and they're no longer here, that would be devastating in a way that would be almost to a point of why bother. It's quite possible that I would end up just, killing myself. But on the other hand, I might feel that I owe the dogs and the cats, some type of, at least taking care of them for a period of time. The question would have to be is what would be the event? I mean, because that would make a big determination too. Because would it be, if it was like some weird zombie apocalypse thing and you were the only person that didn't have it, and now the rest of the people were dead, then I'd definitely never venture outside my house. If it was some type of bug where everybody died and you somehow were miraculously the only person that survived, I mean, the actual chances of that happening, of course, is zip. Zip. So it's just more of a philosophy question as to how would you deal with the ultimate loneliness and sadness and the isolation, because there'd be a huge isolation component to that, and there'd be no way to fix it. I mean, it wouldn't be like you could just go someplace else and there'd be more people. So that in itself is kind of an interesting thought, is how do you deal with immense isolation? If it was like, I would say that'd be the only way everybody could die. I mean, if there was nuclear bombs, you're the only person that happened to survive, would be like, there wouldn't be a way to clarify that. So I'm going to take it one place different, because really what would happen is eventually I'd die. I mean, that's just it. I would die either from falling off a cliff or thinking something wasn't like I'd be like, oh, look, cute dog, and then it would eat me, bite me and give me rabies or something, or fall off a cliff, or try to do something stupid. I don't know. I'm kind of a do stupid things person. I'm overly cautious because I'm very paranoid of dying, but at the same token, it'd be like, I wonder if this works if I did this, and then I would hurt myself. Or I would never attempt to do anything and I'd starve to death. So starving to death, though, is a really horrific way to die, I think. But yeah, so I don't know, so that's what I would do. I mean, I'd probably try the internet, see if I could find people on the internet. I'd probably try calling people. I mean, that would be the first thing most people would do. And then I would, eventually I would venture out of my house. Sorry, Boo Boy keeps interrupting. It's not that he can't be in the vlog, it's just that he's talking about things that have nothing to do with what we're talking about, what I'm talking about. Alright, so the end result of this would be, the answer to this question is, I would probably end up dying. That's the end question. rather sooner than later, I would think. Though, if by chance I was smart enough to survive for a while, I'd probably continue to survive, and I would just go visit the world, you know, because there'd be I wouldn't have to worry about money. I'd only have to worry about food. And if I'm the only one alive, there's going to be huge amounts of grocery stores available to me. So I don't think food would be an issue at that point. Now you said it would only be what killed everybody else off would eventually either kill me or kill other things off, like if all the critters died and stuff like that. That'd be kind of sad. And, you know, it's an interesting idea, but not very long-spanning idea. Like you couldn't develop a whole story on it. I mean, you could from a psychological point, but other than that, you couldn't really expand very long on it. Okay, so more likely is, what would you do if there was some type of holocaustic event or apocalyptic event to occur? I've thought about that a lot because, like I said, I am a bit of a prepper. So we have like a safety agreement between us all in the house, and that if something occurs and we have to go to shelters, then everyone does their best to leave information as to where they're going. So like if I have to leave here, they come to get me and tell me I have to go to a shelter. I leave a note that says I went to the shelter in a place where my kids could find it. And we try very hard to make sure we all come together. One of the biggest things that you need to try to find in any type of event is a good source of water. And then your second, of course, is a good source of food. Then there would be the elements, taking care of yourself in the elements, and then protecting yourself from other people. Though elements and other people could kind of together. I mean, with the amount of guns that we have in the United States, you'd have to get a gun or be really good at hiding and make sure you didn't have anything that anyone else really wanted. So, of course, you would be fighting for a good water source. So the best thing you could do is find a good water source and then bring in people that you felt were trustworthy. I mean, that would be your best bet in the long run. Human beings are supposed to have at least a gallon of water a day. You can go longer on less for a period of time, but eventually there will be biological ramifications for that. And then, depending on what the apocalyptic event is, you may not have accessibility to good water. So bottled water would become a commodity, of course, and then everything after that. Bottled water, fruit juice, milk. Though milk you'd want to drink sooner than later, especially if you ended up with no electricity. If electricity was alright, you'd probably be okay. In fact, if you had a apocalyptic event and then electricity came on, whoever was in control of the electricity would be the people that would be the ones to bunch up with, because you can do a lot more in this time and age with electricity than you could do without it. There's a lot of things I know how to do. Like I know how to build a solar cooker and a solar... Alright, so control electricity, control water, and control of a good place to keep other people out. So that would be you, and then surviving whatever whatever it was. I mean, if it's a nuclear bomb, you won't have to worry about surviving for a long depending on where you're at. Radiation sickness is going to come in, and then if it was some biological weapon, and you know those who could survive that had a natural immunity to it are going to be very small and sparse. It's not going to be like a cluster of people. Usually with biological weapons, if you have a way to fight it off, if your body has it, those who are related to you possibly also will have that ability. It's not a guarantee, but a range of certain type of chromosomes that create biological reactions in your body will help you fight off things. There's some nasty biological things out there, though. I would not want. I think too. Yeah, think about if you got to pick your own end of the world kind of thing scenario, I think I would want a bomb that just took out everything. Like, it wouldn't have to be a nuclear bomb. It could be an electro bomb of some type that just wiped off civilization. That'd be fine. It wouldn't be able to, or the radiation sickness, the end of that is very painful. I don't know that I would want to go that way either. But, you know, you never have a choice in those kind of things. I don't live anywhere where I have to worry about a direct hit. There's nothing, Portland, I think, is the closest place that would have a direct hit. And that's only because they have the harbors. They're hooked on a river system, and they could transport stuff. So, logistically speaking, Portland would be one of the places that would hit. Big cities, of course, like, well, San Francisco, of course, would be another logical. I think Los Angeles, just for the amount of people, would probably be a place to hit. Though people, and then if they start hitting all those places, you'd have the earthquakes that would pull apart most of the West Coast, so I'd have to worry about that. And then you'd have to worry about the big waves. I always say them wrong. Tsunamis. I can see it in my head, but I can't say it right now. So you'd have to worry. Those are all those weird things that would be the afterness of stuff. I write a lot of post-apocalyptic fiction. I try to make it semi-real, but the realness of it is that it's pretty much a dead-end road for most of us. I mean, we wouldn't really be able to survive well in a realistic concept, I don't think. I think that idealistically we believe we would be able to survive because that's a humanist kind of thing. Actually, it's a very animalistic kind of thing, is to survive no matter what. I don't know that we would be able to survive well. Many of us wouldn't. There's a lot of things that we're too used to and we have a hard time acclimatizing to. I think homeless people would probably survive better, those who sleep out in the elements and have been surviving pretty well. But even them, to a degree, you know, there's things that they've had to buy with money that they needed. So there's still a certain degree of necessary items to be able to survive. Anyway, so that's it. For this question, again, the question was, what would you do if you were the only person to survive? It would be a very depressing, lonely, and sad thing. But if I was to get past the suicidal tendencies, I think that I would explore the world until I killed, you know, some accident occurred. Because that's usually what would happen, some accident occurred. I'd probably be eaten by a bear or something. That would be what would happen. In an idealistic setup, I'd go and release all the animals from the zoo. I think that would be my last, unless it killed animals, and then it wouldn't matter either. It'd be interesting, though, to stick around to see what happened to the world just in 10 years with no people. Hell, in 5 years with no people. Cats alone. Can you imagine the amount of cats that would exist? With no people around to, would they become a prey, you think, of bigger predators that would then be able to now venture out into the cities and not be killed? I mean, that's the only part of the question that really intrigues me. Not me surviving, but what would actually happen to the rest of the world if animals weren't targeted too. It was just human beings that died, and I was the only one left to witness it. I mean, you might want to write a memoir or something, so if people from outer space ever ended up here or whatever, or their life was too evolved into a species. And that's another question. Would that happen too? Anyway, so that's it. My mind got to thinking about it after it kind of woke up. But those are questions that we could answer at another time. I'll catch you all on the flip side, and I'm out of here.